We begin with what Ukraine says is a new threat to its people as it endures yet another wave of Russian attacks. A senior Ukrainian official says Vladimir Putin may ask North Korea's Kim Jong-un for up to 50,000 more troops to boost the Russia war effort. Well, that's on top of the 8,500 already in Russia. The official says the current North Korean contingent includes a drone unit that could play a role in attacks inside Ukraine. Nick Payton-Walsh is back with us this hour. So, Nick, obviously this warning from Ukraine coming as Donald Trump has been making new overtures towards Kim Jong-un. So tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that broad familiarity now between Washington and Pyongyang not helping Ukraine here, who are seeing Russia resilient in terms of its military-industrial complex and seemingly constantly able to field new troops to the front line despite horrific casualty rates, still turning to North Korea for extra assistance. Now, these 8,500 troops currently on Russian soil are part of 25,000 that have been rotated since October 2024, when indeed we first had the signs of North Korea sending troops to assist Russia's war. They were on the territory of Kursk inside Russia, used to ultimately repel a Ukrainian invasion of Russian territory in Kursk. We understand from a senior Ukrainian official that new troops, as they arrive, will likely stay on Russian territory, but they'll come with capabilities that could be very damaging for Ukraine. One of those are ballistic missiles. 90 personnel, this Ukrainian senior intelligence official told me, have been sent to Voronezh already to assist with dozens of missiles, potentially KN-23, KN-24 ballistic missiles, that are some of which are already being fired into Ukraine, seeking to exploit the big gap in their air defences. Separately, 400 North Korean personnel are now part of a drone unit that the Ukrainian intelligence official says are flying recon units over Ukrainian territory and possibly may be involved in attack missions as well. There was a hint of that in October last year too. But a sign of this growing North Korean assistance, and the official tells me that in their meeting in September, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un are likely to discuss future cooperation, and the Kremlin are going to ask for 50,000 more potentially in total. That's a huge contribution. In return, we understand, according to this Ukrainian official, that North Korea has already got the Pantsir-1 air defense system and is asking for the S-400 sophisticated missile system HUS here. So a sign here of a burgeoning relationship between these two states, perhaps a sign of how Russia is still in need of whatever help it can possibly get, not at all self-sufficient, and also too how North Korea is using this particular war, the horrific advances in drone technology, the violence that's never been seen before on the front line, to educate its troops in ways that are frankly not to the knowledge of any other Asian army at this particular point, giving them some kind of edge. And that too will leave South Korea concerned, as well as this continued friendship, it seems, between Washington and Pyongyang.
And Nick, as you mentioned, I mean, the numbers here are staggering. That tells us it gives us a picture of what this means for Russia at this point in the war. But when it comes to the North Korea drone attack units themselves, have we seen that kind of deployment already from North Korea being used in Ukraine?
Yeah, there was a suggestion in October of last year that in the Sumy region, North Korean troops may have been used to deploy in that kind of way. But the official we spoke to said, look, you just don't know who's flying the drone. The actual model of the drone is often the same, but this is the intelligence that they've been gathering as to the likely capabilities of these North Korean troops as they are deployed. And they will be deployed, we understand, around the Kursk area, as well as to Voronezh, where that particular missile unit is being used. In fact, in Voronezh too, the Ukrainian officials said that there have been signs of 10 significant airlift deliveries to an aerodrome near there too, possibly new missiles coming in. That will leave Ukrainians deeply concerned because of that ballistic missile threat being something, because of the lack of US-made supplied Patriot interceptors, almost zero, that Ukraine has. That leaves them deeply vulnerable to these missile attacks.
We're joined from Kyiv by Alexei Sorokin. He's the deputy chief editor of the Kyiv Independent. So hopefully the situation in Kyiv already bad with these latest Russian strikes. And now what's your reaction, Alexei, to the prospect of more North Korean involvement and potentially North Korean ballistic missiles and raining down on your city?
Well, we're discussing a really, really bad situation getting even worse, right? We know that Russia currently has the upper hand because Ukraine is lacking air defense systems and missiles for them. And more missiles from North Korea means more people in Kyiv will die. Same with troops from North Korea. We remember that a few years back, they were fighting on the front lines and helping Russia advance. Well, back then it was in Kursk region of Russia, and right now we have intelligence that North Korean troops can be sent specifically to Ukraine to help Russia capture more territory in the east.
Can Ukraine realistically hold a free and fair election while it's under Russian attack, you think?
No. Obviously, this political crisis is self-inflicted currently in Ukraine. There is absolutely no capabilities that Ukraine has to hold elections. There's millions of people currently displaced. There's over 20% of the territory of Ukraine currently occupied. There's also around 1 million, slightly less than 1 million of people on the front lines who also can't vote. People who are in the military are not allowed, according to law, to campaign and to seek office. We also have the martial law that prohibits any elections. Plus, the Central Election Commission doesn't have up-to-date lists of voters because many fled, many have been killed, voting booths were destroyed. So there's technically no capabilities for Ukraine to hold elections. And I think this is really, really bad that currently this topic is being widely discussed in Ukraine because of personal ambitions of some politicians.
And do you think there's any Russian interference playing into this, perhaps secretly?
Well, no. I know it's really easy to blame Russia for everything, but unfortunately, the current crisis is self-inflicted, and the president committed a government reshuffle for absolutely no reason. It turned into a political crisis with protests on the streets because a popular defense minister was ousted. And then the popular defense minister, because he wasn't able to get his job back, went all in and became the main opposition figure for the president. So it's unfortunately all self-inflicted, and it's probably going to get worse going forward.
So is this opportunistic politicians, or if you're taking the pulse of the Ukrainian people, is there a genuine political challenge that Zelensky's facing now? Is he weaker today than at any point since the full-scale invasion began?
I think he's definitely weaker, first of all, because there's active opposition, and second of all, because there's an ongoing corruption crisis. For the past year, people around the president have been caught red-handed, stealing money from the state. And there's multiple anti-corruption investigations ongoing in the country. So definitely Zelensky is feeling the pressure. But even those who support Mr. Fedorov, who called for elections, say that they don't support elections per se during wartime because they understand that it's impossible. So I think here Mr. Fedorov rushed a bit and jumped the gun, and he's not going to get support specifically for pressuring the state to hold elections.
Alexei Sorokin in Kyiv. We'll leave it there for now. Really appreciate you joining us. Thanks for sharing your perspective from the embattled and beautiful city of Kyiv.